the Sunday morning worship service of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church in Naperville, Illinois. I'm Kelly Trombley-Freitag, a member of your Board of Trustees. We're so glad you are here, whether you are present in the sanctuary this morning or watching remotely. It is so good to be together. We welcome you to our church and invite you to get to know us better after the service. To keep us all as safe as possible, we ask that you remain masked. Those of us on the chancel will remove our masks to speak from the microphone. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another on our spiritual and religious journeys while holding ourselves in covenant. The rich liberal legacy of Unitarian Universalism is rooted in our faith's 7 principles. These principles guide our faithful actions as we work to transform the world to be more just and equitable. You may find these principles listed on our website or on the wall in our social hall. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. We have a couple of announcements today. If you were unable to attend the January 15th meeting, Reverend Mandy and the board invite you to join a Zoom conversation of the conversation summary and size dynamics presentation on Wednesday, February 8th at 7 p.m. Learn how the size of our church community, our policy-based governance, and your wishes for the future of DuPage UU all connect. If you read the Promise campaign letter you received from the Stewardship Committee, there's a big hint about leadership's hopes and plans based on your hopes and wishes for DuPage UU. Zoom information will be in the February newsletter and is on the Here's What's Happening page on the website. As you walked in the church's front door today, what did you think about the appearance of our property? We have wonderful property, but some of the growth have gotten out of control. Along with your order of service this morning, you were handed a survey asking for your comments on the appearance of our church property. Please provide your feedback by filling it out and returning it to the ushers today or by February 15th to the church office. Alternatively, the survey is available online, accessible in the weekly or under What's Happening, Here's What's Happening on the church website. 1 survey per submission per person, please. The Grounds Task Force thanks you. And now, I invite you to turn to someone you did not come in with and greet them with a wave and a good morning greeting.
I light this chalice for the first source of our living tradition that draws from direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to renewal of the spirit and openness to the forces which create and uphold life.
Sasha, that was quite a mouthful. Welcome to this place of love, of communal flourishing. We enter this worship space to open our hearts, to expand our minds, and to see the sacred within one another. Come, let us worship together. Please rise as you are willing and able, and join me in singing hymn number 1001, Breaths.
Join me in saying our covenant. We come together to affirm our relationship with one another, our shared commitment to our Unitarian Universalist principles, and to our DuPage UU Church community. We recognize our agency and our connective power, and we accept our responsibility to be bold and courageous in relationship with each other so that we might transform ourselves and the world.
Our vision of beloved community is rooted in the relationships we have with each other, our world, and creation. Each week we share our joys and concerns, and we have several today. The first is that today's flowers were given by Jill Wallace in celebration of her mom's 80th birthday. A concern from Barb Ruse, who has family members who are struggling with mental health issues and substance abuse. May you and your family be surrounded with love as you support one another on this journey. From Rorik Larson, who's mourning the passing of Ryan's maternal biological grandfather, Ty Cobb, who passed last Monday after a gallant fight with Parkinson's for over 22 years. Our love is with Rorik and Ryan. I have one happy joy today. Please join me in wishing my partner a happy, happy birthday. I also have a personal concern that I have. Last night I was informed by my father that my brother-in-law is in the hospital with myocarditis, and my nephews and niece are with my parents, and I would ask that you just hold them in love over the next few days as they figure out what kind of damage has been done to his heart. And lastly, I hold the family of Tyree Nichols in our hearts. For yet once again, we have lost another young Black man to the violence of police brutality. And all I can ask is how long? How long must this go on? For all of these joys and sorrows, and for those that remain unspoken, we hold each other in our hearts. May we remember that within community we are loved and beloved. I invite Mary Coleman forward to lead us in a meditation.
Good morning. I invite you to enter this short experience today with a beginner's mind. Pretend that you have never heard of meditation before, that you have no idea of what it means. I especially encourage you to allow yourself to let go of past negative beliefs that may have taken residence in you or through you. So take a moment now to adjust your seating position so that you are upright but not rigid, that you feel alert and preferably with your feet flat on the floor, your head comfortably supported by your neck, your hands lying loosely on your lap or thighs, face up or face down. To help your inner focus, gently close your eyes or cast your look downward. I will first share a short context with you. As you listen, meditation is really more than grounding in the body. It's more about grounding in the body rather than clearing the mind. The irony of it is that when we train ourselves to be more grounded in our body, it flows naturally into more clarity in our mind. When lost in thought, we lose awareness of sensations and become disembodied. So let's return now to the body. Maybe readjusting your sitting position. You can roll your shoulders up and back. You want to have some uprightness or length in your spine without being rigid or stiff. And you invite a softness into your face, your jaw, your shoulders, and your belly. This balanced posture of being both relaxed and alert, being both soft and open, is the beginning of our embodied awareness. Notice how the body is feeling in this moment. You don't need to change anything about the mind or your thoughts. Just notice. Feel what's going on physically, mentally. What sensations are you experiencing or not experiencing? Just simply allow what's happening, and whatever that is okay. Keep coming back and noticing the body. How does your body feel right now? No need to think about it, just noticing, feeling the sensations or vibrations that are here. If for some reason staying focused on the body is uncomfortable for you, I encourage you to focus on the sounds or other sensations, doing whatever you need to do to feel safe. At any time, you can feel the contact with what's supporting your body right now. It could be the chair or cushion, feet on the floor, the ground beneath you. Just really sense into your feet or your seat, allowing yourself to feel grounded. Continuing to sense the connection with what's underneath you, I invite you to bring awareness to the presence of the weight of the body. What is that sensation like? Make note about how the body feels right now as we begin to narrow our focus on the breath. Noticing now the sensations of breathing in and breathing out. Grounding yourself in feeling, in noticing this to the exclusion of anything and everything else. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Exaggerating and elongating that for a few moments. Totally interested in each breath. Noticing the beginning, the middle, the end of the in-breath. Then aware of the change, transition to the beginning, the middle, and the end of the out-breath. And if at any time the breath is challenging for you to follow, you can rest your awareness on the body's contact with what's underneath you, or on any part of the body that brings you a sense of ease and connection. Continue with these deep, longer in and out breaths for a few more. It may help to gently put the palm of your hand on your belly and feel from the outside your belly inflating on the in-breath and deflating on the out-breath. You may notice that the breath begins to shorten to its more natural rhythm. This begins to happen as the body begins to feel more relaxed and let go more. When you sustain this longer breath, there's a natural movement to a shorter, more subtle breath. Just take a moment in silence to notice your bodily sensations now. For now, you are giving permission to allow the whole body to relax. Trust the body to breathe, whatever that might be like for you, 1/2 breath at a time. Noticing this because you choose to make it exclusive right now, and you choose to sustain real, authentic interest in this sensation of breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, I experience the whole body. Breathing out, I experience the whole body. Embodied awareness is a way for us to stay with our experience by using the body, the breath, or any sensory experience as a way to connect to the present moment. Not by pushing away thoughts or emotions, but by allowing the body to be the ground of our awareness. As we end this meditation, I invite you to take a moment to express gratitude towards yourself for taking time to cultivate this practice and give yourself this gift. Know that in any moment, you can connect to the body, the breath, this sense of groundedness as a way to create spaciousness, ease, and rootedness. And now I invite you to take a few opening and deeper breaths as you gradually bring yourself back to this space in this room. Thank you very much, and namaste.
It is time to gather. Our theme this month is Finding Our Center. And today I have a story about discovering your abilities and disabilities and figuring out how to share those talents with the people around us. The story that I'm going to share with you is Aaron Slater, Illustrator, by Andrea Beatty and illustrated by David Roberts. At the end of the garden, in the soft fading light, when the day turns to dusk and the dusk into night, the sweet scent of jasmine floats into the air to mix with the music of laughter, and there, Aaron D. Slater soaks it all in. With his flowery blanket tucked under his chin, words drift like music, melodious, mild. A sweet summer song for a sweet summer child who drifts off to sleep as the cottonwoods sway at the end of the garden, at the end of the day. It's summer, then summer, and summer once more. And soon Aaron D. is a youngster of 4. The jasmine climbs higher, the roses have grown, and Aaron himself has a spot of his own for seedlings and saplings beside the slate walk, which he illustrates daily with a bucket of chalk. But what he loves most, what makes Aaron's heart sing, is to listen to books in the old garden swing. To write stories, he thinks, is the greatest of things. But first, he must read. It's the best place to start. And young Aaron wants to with all of his heart. But the words are just squiggles, and try though he might, even with the help, Aaron can't get it right. Why can't I do it? Why is it so hard? And he goes back to drawing on slate in his yard. It's school time at last. In his sunflower socks and poppy red jacket and with matching lunchbox, he marches to class with a teacher's bouquet, ready to read by the end of the day. But he doesn't that day, or that month, or that year. And though he makes progress, it's painfully clear. He'll never quite get it like all of his friends. Since he'll never stand out, he decides to blend in. And so here he is at last to start grade 2 in his simple white t-shirt and matching white shoes. He tries to keep up, to blend in, and to hide the tangle of feelings he carries inside. At first, it goes well, since his teacher is new and is a bit overwhelmed by all the hullabaloo. But things settle down, and Miss Greer finds her stride. And once she gets rolling, there's no place to hide. Class, she says, here's an assignment for you. Write me a story. Write something true. And so Aaron does what young Aaron must do. He works on a story like the rest of grade 2. He writes through the evening and he writes through the night. He writes and he writes until dawn's early light. And then he drags off to school with his shoes filled with lead and a stomach in knots and a pain in his head. And he waits for his turn with his heart filled with dread. Miss Greer calls his name, and Aaron D. stands and unfolds the sheet in his trembling hands, and he reads. Well, he tries, but it's so hard to start with 33 eyes peering into his heart. So he stares at his shoes and his sunflower socks, and then he closes his eyes, and then young Aaron talks. Once there was a flower. No, wait, I know. Once there was a magical flower, which gave all who held it extraordinary power. And so begins the most perfect of tales of an imperfect hero whose courage fails. When the day turns to dusk and the dusk into night, and the moon rises high and the dragons take flight. And who learns after all in the wee morning hours, strength comes from the heart and not magical flowers. That beauty and kindness and loving and art lend courage to all with a welcoming heart. And when the quest ends and the sweet flower dies, the students all gasp, and Miss Lila Greer cries. The silence that follows rattles his heart. He tries to say something, but where could he start? He turns in a paper with no words at all, and then blinks back a tear and escapes to the hall, where Miss Lila finds him by a slate-colored wall. Time stops for them both, the teacher and boy. His heart fills with anguish, and hers? Hers fills with joy at the soul of this artist, courageous and true. And she smiles and whispers, "Aaron, thank you." And when she leaves, Aaron stands there very long, while then slowly, so slowly, he begins to smile. And he feels like he does when with those books in the swing. as a new hope inside starts to make his heart sing. He knows he can do the greatest of things in a way that's his own, in a way that's just his. He can stand out and show the whole world who he is. Like the mightiest flames that banish the dark, hope grows in the soul from the tiniest spark. His art makes the difference. His art leads the way and helps him discover what he wants to say. And his reading gets better. Of course, it's still tough, but each day that they work is a little less rough. Like all imperfect heroes at the start of a quest, he must do what he can and hope for the best. Now in the hallway, a new garden grows with jasmine and poppies, a rambling rose, books, art, and music, a dragon or two who soar through a sky of Delphium blue. The art tells a story, melodious, mild, furious, fragrant, wonderful, wild. It's all from the heart, and all of it's true. For Aaron, Miss Greer, and the kids of grade 2, it's a place full of beauty for one and for all, the illustrator's garden at the end of the hall. Learning to read is hard for Aaron Slater. His brain has difficulty identifying how speech sounds relate to letters and words. Aaron has dyslexia. Just like 15 to 20% of all people. And there are other learning difficulties people may have. For instance, dysgraphia is difficult learning to write. Dyscalculia is a form of difficulty doing math. And some people have difficulty focusing, which is called attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. These learning problems are not about a person's intelligence, creativity, kindness, willingness to work, or their awesomeness. They are just how the person's brains work. And all these difficulties, and many others, can be frustrating, but tools and special instruction from educators and others can help. Aaron's dyslexia informs who he is, but it does not define who he is. We each have our own superpowers and struggles. That's what makes us unique, beautiful, strong, and important to the world, just like Aaron. Let's sing to the children as they leave for their religious education classes.
Giving of our treasure is how we reciprocate the many gifts that we are given by this community. Your contribution supports the programs and operations of DuPage UU Church. Giving is also how we live our values in the world. Each month, we share our offerings with an organization nominated by the congregation and selected by the special offering team. The January special offering will benefit DUUC's SMILE Project. The SMILE Project was designed to provide mentoring and work experience to high school students who are not the top of their class nor in the bottom quarter, but those who could use encouragement and help to prepare for entering the workforce after high school. The offering is given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude.
Good morning. My name is Francisco Ruiz. I'm your music director, and I wanted to offer some words this morning by Mary Oliver, The Journey. One day, you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. Though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible, It was already late enough, and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voice behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing that you could do, determined to save the only life that you could save. This morning,
I believe in the sun. I believe in the sun. Even when it's not shining. I believe in the sun. I believe in the sun. I believe in God. I believe in God. Even when God is silent.
We spoke last week about how for Unitarian Universalists, our compass, our true north, our heart's resting place, is the flourishing of humanity and creation, which our 7 principles guide us towards, not only in language, but through our deeds. I believe this wholeheartedly. I believe this because I see this in our 7 principles. I believe this because flourishing is rooted in my Taoist theology. I believe this because I have lived it. But today I wish to take this a little deeper, based upon my theological leanings and my experience. I'm going to make a bold claim here, and I ask that you hold space, bear with me, with an open mind for this bold statement. Reserve judgment until the end. I claim that the universe itself wishes us to flourish. Let me explain how I got here. Taoism is often known as the religion of the way. The way being described as a metaphysical energy or qi that makes up the universe. All that is in the universe was created in the way, is of the way, and returns to the way. Birth, life, death, recreation. We make ourselves into harmony with the way by following the Tao Te Ching, the sacred text of Taoism. Now, I understand that energy, qi, if you will, as that which we are made up of and which connects us, both physically and metaphysically. And I think some examples here might help. I believe that we are made up of qi in the form of matter, as science shows us, when we understand that the calcium in our bones and the iron in our blood comes from the stars that exploded millions of years ago. The process that forms those elements was the way in the form of chemistry. And the connection to those stars is the physical manifestation of the way in the form of matter. But we are also connected through a less tangible source as well. Another form of the way is an energetic form that we really cannot explain yet. In the science community, this energy is found in quantum entanglement, and it is the connection that happens between particles even when they are separated by vast distances. Within alternative medicine and psychology, it is the connection between the mind and the body. So let's look at the placebo effect. We know that in drug trial studies that participants receiving the placebo often change their health not because of a pill they receive, but because they believe a pill is doing something for them even when it's not. Their mind literally changes their physiology. And this doesn't happen to just a few. The placebo effect has been known to affect up to 50% or more of the placebo participants. Now, as a child learning science, it was always implied to me that these participants were weak-minded, but I would argue that they're of the strongest minds. Changing your body using your mind? That's hardcore, whether it's intentional or not. But this concept is not new. Most traditional, non-Western medicine teaches concepts like this. And this is where my personal experience comes in. Now, I want to put out a disclaimer. I believe in all the medicines. Really, it's a joke I tell my doctors. I am fully vaccinated because I believe that vaccines save lives. I believe that emergency medicine is life-saving. My brother-in-law is in the hospital and is being saved by modern medicine. And I believe that surgery can work wonders. And I also believe that there are other insights and methods that we don't understand fully yet that also work. Traditional Chinese medicine teaches, and the field of psychology is beginning to understand, that what we feel and experience is made manifest in our physical body. When you have experienced trauma like I have, especially childhood trauma, and have been unable to find or are not given healthy ways to process it, you might find it hidden in your body. I have found the mind-body connection to be true, and I have experienced healing of this sort. Several years ago, I was experiencing a number of health issues, including daily asthma problems that seemed to have no cause that modern doctors could find. So I sought out an energetic practitioner, and during a journaling session, I was writing to my child self. I was processing the grief of my mother's death. And as I journaled, my asthma became worse and worse, and I was struggling to breathe. And as I reached for my inhaler, I realized this aha moment that I was not only grieving the death of my mother, but I was grieving the death of my childhood completely. And in that moment, my asthma stopped. Oh, was I sad and overwhelmed, but my asthma stopped, and I never had to use that inhaler again. And I haven't to this day, except for exercise-induced asthma. But my daily problems that had no cause were gone. So it might not be surprising if I now tell you that in traditional Chinese medicine, grief is held in the lungs. The mind-body connection was real for me. I have experienced what I call qi in its energetic form. When I identified my grief, I healed my lungs. I still had other work to do, 2.5 years worth of work. In energetic medicine, the patient works harder than the practitioner, but one of the many things that I needed to address was healed. And that healing happened at just the right time. It wasn't coincidental that it took place right as I entered seminary. In fact, I know it wasn't coincidental because I knew that if I was going to bring healing and minister to others, I had to heal myself first. This does not mean that I believe that the way, or qi, has any sort of higher consciousness that invokes intention into our lives. But I do believe that the way is grounded in the laws of nature, both known and those we do not yet know, to transform the constant interconnection and experience of our lives. And the Tao Te Ching teaches us this when it says that the way and all who follow it, including creation, the world around us, are always becoming. In my case, becoming healed, becoming transformed into your minister. This is how I believe the universe wishes us to flourish. I have found this understanding through the inspiration of Roger Ames and David Hall's philosophical interpretation of Taoism. Traditionally, the sacred text of Taoism, the Tao Te Ching, has been translated as wayfinder or something along those lines. But Ames and Hall translate the Tao Te Ching as making this life significant. The way guides us in finding our significance through the act of becoming, which happens through the co-creation and interaction with each other, driving us towards flourishing. We cannot bring our significance to ourselves or the world without at least the hope of flourishing, let alone the actual act of flourishing. When we follow our flourishing compass in the midst of despair or in ecstatic joy, we are enabled to bring flourishing physically into the world. A note here about despair. A Taoist would say that despair, hurt, pain, they happen when we look inward to ourselves rather than outward to each other. When we disconnect from relationships and focus on the self. Another way to put it would be when we focus solely on our own flourishing rather than our collective flourishing. Yet I believe that faith in our ability to flourish can happen even in the midst of despair. The song, I believe, that the choir sang earlier shares this flourishing. Mark Miller, a dear friend of our family, actually composed the music to that song. But the words were scratched into the wall of a cellar in Cologne, Germany, by a Jew hiding from Nazi persecution. When faith can survive the bleakest of places and circumstances, it is to me a sign that we are meant for more than despair. We are meant for flourishing and significance. And that small yet significant sign of faith written on a wall during a hellish time and place is able to bring us the hope of flourishing so many years later in a different time and place, a time when Black bodies are subject to death at the hands of police. Susan Raffo, in her book Liberated to the Bone, writes that trauma, pain, and hurt are places of disconnect. They are isolating. In Raffo's words, it's a place where the present moment of life in its fullness gets stopped and interwoven with an unfinished and painful history. And so the only way to heal is through reconnection. Through the pain, we reconnect with one another, which lets us integrate the trauma, the pain, and the harm so they become a part, not the part, of our story and of our flourishing selves. Within Taoism, we find a similar explanation. Pain, hurt, and trauma are experienced when we disconnect from the way, which includes each other. After all, we are all part of the way. To reconnect means seeking the flourishing for ourselves, others, and creation so we might find significance, that is, make meaning of our lives. I hope that science continues to study quantum entanglement and then moves to study the connections between the mind and body. I have a feeling they're related. Until then, I know deeply that in order for me to be your minister, I must care for myself, for my flourishing, which lets me minister to you all in your flourishing. When I flourish, I can enact my principles. When you flourish, you can enact your principles. You see how that cycle goes? This is rooting our compass in our embodied grounding. It's all connected. As we are all becoming and transforming, flourishing into our significance. As Taoism teaches, making our lives significant as we flourish and bring flourishing to the world. If, as I suggested last week, we wish to announce from the mountaintops that we are flourishing, that we wish the world to flourish too, we must return to ourselves time and again to our compass to find the source of our flourishing, which is inevitably found in each other through our connection. This is the cycle of church community. It is the place where we can foster this personal and communal flourishing. Let's shout that from the mountaintops. May we flourish deeply, truly together. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing hymn number 1031, Filled with Loving Kindness. Before I give my benediction, I would like you to join me in welcoming our 8 newest members to our church. Their names are Nicole Tchklowski, Mia Thalman, Miguel Cavillo, Suzanne Gowdy, Kathy Neff, Mark Ailes, after a very long time, Swamini Saraswati, did I get that right? Perfect. And Jan Mulqueeny. Thank you all for joining. We are so excited to have you a part of our community. Welcome. Make sure you stop by and say hello to them during coffee hour. Beloveds, our journeys within lead us to each other. They hold within them the secret of Namaste, the divine saluting each other. May each day see us flourishing more and more. Amen.
We extinguish the light of this chalice, but not the light in our hearts. Until we meet again, may the warmth of our community carry you.